Hello, this is Bill. Have you ever wondered what is a constellation and how they were named? Away from city lights on a clear, moonless night, the naked eye can see 2 to 3,000 stars. As you look at these stars, your mind may group them into different shapes or patterns. People of nearly every culture throughout history have looked at the stars and given names to shapes they saw. They even invented stories to go with them. For example, the pattern that the Greeks named Orion, the hunter, was also seen by the ancient Chinese, who saw it as a supreme warrior named Shen. Native Americans of the California desert saw the same group of stars as a line of 3 sure-footed mountain sheep. The patterns of stars seen in the sky are usually called constellations, although, more accurately, a group of stars that forms a pattern in the sky is called an asterism. Astronomers use the term constellation to refer to an area of the sky. The International Astronomical Union, IAU, divides the sky into 88 official constellations with exact boundaries, so that every place in the sky belongs within a constellation. Most of the constellations in the Northern Hemisphere are based on the constellations invented by the ancient Greeks, while most in the Southern Hemisphere are based on names given to them by 17th-century European explorers. Now, here is Harry, who will talk to us about this month's constellation.
Thank you, Bill. This month we will explore the constellation Leo, the Lion. It is one of a handful of constellations that really does look like its namesake. It consists of 2 patterns of stars that the brain puts together to make a lion. A backward question mark represents the head and mane, and a triangle of stars to the lower left forms the lion's hindquarters and tail. Look for Leo high in the south in April and May. The mythology of this constellation is typically attributed to the story of Hercules and his 12 trials. In the first of his trials, Hercules is tasked with finding and killing the Nemean lion, an enormous and powerful lion whose hide is impenetrable. Hercules doesn't know this, however, and shoots the Nemean lion with arrows, which do nothing but make it really, really angry. Being Hercules, he decides to make a mad dash at the Nemean lion rather than run away. The lion runs into its cave, which has 2 entrances. Long story short, Hercules blocks off an entrance, rushes into the cave, hits the Nemean lion over the head with his club hard enough to stun it, then proceeds to choke it to death with his bare hands. In order to prove his victory, Hercules is supposed to bring the pelt of the Nemean lion back to King Eurystheus. Hercules tries to cut the pelt off the lion's body before realizing that it's still impenetrable. After trying a few different tactics, he finally figures out that the only thing that can cut the skin of the Nemean lion is its own claws. Eventually, he is able to use the claws to skin the lion. He brings the pelt back to Eurystheus, but ends up keeping it to use as his own personal armor. Leo's brightest star is Blue-White Regulus, one of the brightest stars in the night sky. It is about 79 light-years away. The backwards question mark, known as the sickle, outlines his head and mane. Leo's tail, a white star named Denebola, which comes from an Arabic name that, appropriately enough, means tail of the lion. At a distance of just 36 light-years, Denebola is a fairly close neighbor. Even so, the fact that we can see it at all means that Denebola is quite bright, more than 10 times brighter than our Sun. Denebola's brightness is a product of its mass. The star is about twice as heavy as the Sun, so it fuses the hydrogen in its core at a much faster rate. That makes the star's surface thousands of degrees hotter than the Sun's. The combination of high temperature and large size makes Denebola outshine the Sun and all but a few percent of all the stars in the Milky Way galaxy. Denebola is surrounded by a disk of dust grains. It may be supplied with fresh material by collisions between small planet-building bodies. So far, no one has seen any evidence of planets around the star, although they can't be ruled out either. Astronomers continue to hunt for companions to this bright stellar neighbor. Leo also contains quite a few bright galaxies. Leading the list are 3 galaxies that together form the Leo triplet, M65, M66, and NGC 3628. NGC 3628 is the most interesting of the 3. Like our own Milky Way, it's a spiral, a pinwheel that spans at least 100,000 light-years. We see it edge on, so it looks like a streak of light with lanes of dark dust running down the middle. Gravitational encounters with the other galaxies have triggered the birth of perhaps millions of new stars near the galaxy's center. They have pulled out a tail of gas that spans 250,000 light-years. The tail contains enough gas to make 500 million stars as massive as the Sun. In fact, it has given birth to millions of stars in several large clumps. Now is the best time to be viewing Leo as it is high in the southern sky. See if you can find the Leo triplet consisting of M65, M66, and NGC 3628 just below the hindquarters of Leo. Thank you for your attention. Now I will return the meeting to our next speaker.